What is causing your friend to remain single that you don't have the heart to tell them?
Story 1.
Brother-in-law, not friend. But he makes the same jokes about poop and farts all the time. Like, constantly. Yes, some women like potty humor, but they usually also want it to be funny. He is also very negative, finds insult or something wrong with any situation.
Story 2.
She is so lovely, so kind, so generous, and so beautiful. But her crippling lack of self-esteem is so huge it's visible from space. And her anxiety, and I'm 99% sure her undiagnosed ADHD, means that when she's at all nervous, she talks at 100 miles an hour in several directions at once. It's like being handed 8 happy Labrador puppies to try and hold in your arms. I so badly want her to be happy and feel fulfilled, but even I find it tiring sometimes. Recommend. I have 2 of these. One is the most talented, smartest, wonderful person I know, and I wish I could pull the gremlins out of their brain so they could be happy. The other is self-fulfilling proficiency, ficking up their life. He's not unlovable or ugly or uncared for, but walking through the world expecting rejection at all turns and living in a fog of negativity is what makes him unattractive to be around. Such and such isn't hotter than you. That's not the reason they're getting more friends and lovers, but they are more positive and interested than you, and people are attracted to that company.
Story 3.
He lies to himself about almost everything. He lives in fantasy land. He thinks he's in the gym 5 days a week, eats great, climbs mountains, goes camping, makes loads of money. Reality, pub 5 days a week, overeats like shite, went on one hike in January, can't hold a job and lives paycheck to paycheck. If you were to confront him with this reality, it wouldn't even get through to him.
Story 4.
The people they like aren't real. They are idealized, cartoonish caricatures. Now my friend himself has a lot to offer IMO, but he is looking for a person that doesn't exist. Hard to find something that's not there. Recommend. I have a friend who started dating his flatmate after being really into her for a while, and then after a week or two said something like, "Dating, you doesn't feel as good as I thought it would," to her. He basically torpedoed his own potential relationship because of his own ideal fantasy. And to be honest, I don't know if he actually realized he'd created an unrealistic standard in his own head. He's been single for the last decade. His mental health has only got worse in the time I've known him despite therapy. And I think he's probably so detached from appropriate dating behavior at this point that he could be single for the rest of his life.
Story 5.
He keeps hanging on to the past and spending all his time hanging out with ex-girlfriends who are unavailable, or women who like him, but he doesn't romantically like. Recommend. Familiar. Friend's been trying to coerce and manipulate his ex back with him since 9. Not doing anything to fix or move on, just keeps pushing the envelope of sad. Eventually, he asked to cuddle with her, despite the fact she's several relationships down the road, and presently in one, she said no. He decides the best thing to do is delete all socials and keep sitting in his mom's basement. Cutting himself, haven't seen or heard from him since. Dunno what he was expecting.
Story 6.
It's not his height, it's his obsession with it. Recommend. I feel bad for guys like this. I'm 5'6", and have never had problems dating. I also have never given a shit that I'm 5'6". The love of my life is a solid 2 inches taller than me, too. Never been an issue. I see guys on Reddit bitching that women don't like them because they're only 5'8", but all I can think is maybe you just have a shit personality, bro. Like that guy that went viral for flipping out on women at a bagel shop, saying that women mocked him for being short. He's a great example of someone with a terminal case of little man syndrome.
Story 7.
Her standards are excessively too high. She brings nothing to a relationship. She's a walking contradiction, all of which is why she is single. I think it's great to have standards and high standards, but hers is just a checklist of wants. Recommend. I saw the most profound advice about this situation once. There's a YouTube channel called Cinema Therapy. The therapist on the show once talked about a client in this situation. He told the client to imagine someone who checks all of these boxes actually existed. Now ask yourself, what would their list look like? Do you check all of those boxes?
Story 8.
Not really, my friend, but an old community choir director who I became friends with on Facebook. I noticed this about 10 years ago, and I don't know if anything's changed since then. His FB account has been silent for years. He was in his 40s and an attractive, charming, talented man in real life, but he only internet dated. And I don't think that was really the norm among his age group yet. His frequent social media posts were about 1/3 RD music stuff and 2/3 S complaints, mostly about dating. From what I could tell, it sounded like he got a good number of matches. They just never stuck around. He'd post articles that talked about the positives of internet dating, and then complain about how they were all wrong. Complain about specific women he'd dated. Granted, he wouldn't name names. His job, co-workers, you name it, he complained about it. So basically, he used Facebook like Reddit, except Facebook isn't anonymous, so you could easily match it to him. One thing he often complained about was women talking to him on eHarmony or whatever for a day or two, and then suddenly saying they didn't want to talk anymore or just going radio silent. I have no proof of this, but I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that many of these women Googled him like you're supposed to when internet dating, found all of his bitching, and ran away. God knows I would if I came across that.
Story 9.
I always wondered why she couldn't get a date because she is gorgeous until I saw her flirting with someone. First night they met, flirted, swapped numbers. Then immediately clingy, talking in baby voice to him and making baby noises. He made a completely inoffensive comment, which she found offensive, and threatened to slap him. Not shocking at all when he never called.
Story 10.
Desperation. From laughing way too hard at mediocre jokes to bringing up marriage on the first date, she reeks of it. We have all tried talking to her about it to no avail. The sad thing is that if she was just her regular, funny, smart, relaxed self, then men would be falling over themselves trying to get her number. Stating that you are dating to marry and making clear your goals regarding kids, career, etc. is good, but you have to phrase it so it's clear that you're talking about yourself and your own future and not assuming you will marry that person, etc. Saying, "My dream in life is to have a child-free marriage and travel the world," is okay. Saying, "When we get married," isn't.
Story 11.
The type of guy she claims she likes isn't what she's actually attracted to. She keeps saying how much she loves shy, introverted, sensitive guys. But when she finds one and dates him suddenly, he's not outgoing enough, doesn't speak his mind enough, and is too shy. I kind of think she has this "I can fix him" syndrome, and doesn't really acknowledge it. Like, she's attracted to the idea of a typical shy guy, but thinks once they're in a relationship, they'll suddenly be more open and turn into the guy she actually wants. That's not how it works. Recommend. My friend is like this with other friends. She endlessly talks about how she's so introverted and loves books and staying home, but she actually goes to the bar every night and goes clubbing every weekend. She meets people through Bumble BFF and then they stop talking to her within a few months because they're not compatible. But she doesn't get why because she truly thinks she's an introverted homebody. I mean, she's also like insane and immature and incredibly selfish. But this is one of the manifestations of that.
Story 12.
She has a long way to go in therapy before she'll be able to maintain a healthy, long-term relationship. If I did mention it, I'd be attacking her and gaslighting, so I'll let her work on her more pressing mental health issues for now. Recommend. My wife was like this when I met her. Luckily, I helped her see it and told her, unless she took steps, I'll be gone. She's very attractive, I thought, out of league, but the last 20 guys bounced when they found she was borderline personality. She'd really get wild crazy, and her drinking always made it a lot worse. Finally, she got on antidepressants and meds, went to therapy, pretty much stopped drinking, and she's like a whole new person. I guess I lucked out. I don't think any of those guys would have left if they see her like I do now. And she loves me more for being by her side the whole time, so win-win.